Hello and welcome everyone to the channel The Underscore Metaphor. And we are in the series of book The Power of Now, and in this video we are going to have the content regarding chapter 4, Mind Strategies for Avoiding the Now. Before starting the video, I'd like to request you, if you are new to the channel and if you like my content, please like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel. It will be so much motivational to me. Okay, let's start the video. Mind strategies for avoiding the now. Loss of now, the core delusion. Even if I completely accept that ultimately time is an illusion, what difference is that going to make in my life? I still have to live in a world that is completely dominated by time. Intellectual agreement is just another belief and won't make a much difference to your life. To realize this, you need to live it. When every cell of your body is so present that it feels wrapped into its life, and when you can feel that life every moment has the joy of being, then it can be said that you are free of time. But still, I have to pay the bills tomorrow, and I'm still going to grow old and die just like everybody else. So, how can I ever say I'm free of time? Tomorrow's bills are not a problem. The dissolution of physical body is not a problem. Loss of now is the problem, or rather, the core illusion that turns a mere situations, events, or emotions into personal problem and into suffering. Loss of now is loss of being. To be free of time is to free of the psychological need of past fit, career identity, and future fulfillment. It represents the most profound transformations of consciousness that you can imagine. In some rare cases, the shift in consciousness happens and dramatically and radically once and for all. When it does, it usually comes about through total surrender in the midst of intense suffering. Most people, however, have to work at it. When you have had your first few glimpses of timeless state of consciousness, you begin to move back and forth between the dimensions of the time and presence. First, you became aware of just how really your attention is truly in the now, but to know that you are not a present is a great success. That knowing is a presence, even if initially it only lasts for a couple of seconds of the clock time before it is lost again. Then, with increasing frequency, you choose to have the focus of your consciousness in the present moment rather than in the past or futures. And whenever you realize that you have lost the now, you are able to stay in it not just for a couple of seconds but for a longer period as perceived from the external perspective of the clock time. So before you are firmly established in the state of presence, which is to say before you are fully conscious, you shift back and forth for the while between consciousness and unconsciousness, between the state of presence and the state of mind identifications. You lose the now and then you return to it again and again. Eventually, presence became your point of dominant state. For most people, presence is experienced either never at all or only accidentally and briefly on the rare occasions without being recognized for what is it. Most human alternate not between the consciousness and unconsciousness, but only between the different level of unconsciousness. Ordinary unconsciousness and deep unconsciousness. What do you mean by different levels of unconsciousness? As you probably know, in sleep you constantly move between the phases of dreamless sleep and the dream state. Similarly, in the wakefulness, most people only sit between ordinary unconsciousness and deep unconsciousness. What I call ordinary unconsciousness means being identified with your thought process and emotions, your reactions, desire, and aversions. It is the most people's normal state. In that state, you are around by is weak mind and you are unaware of pain. It's a state of not acute pain or unhappiness, but of the all an almost continuous low level of unease, discontent, boredom, or nervousness, a kind of background static. You may not realize this because it is so much a part of normal living, such as you are not aware of continuous low background noise, such as the hum of an air conditioner, until it stops. When it accordingly does stop, there is a sense of relief. Many people use alcohol, drugs, sex, food, work, televisions, or even shopping as an anesthetics in an unconscious attempt to remove the basic unease. When this happens, an activity that might be very enjoyable if used in the moderation becomes imbued with a compulsive or addictive quality, and all that is able to achieve through it is extremely short-lived symptoms relief. The unease of ordinary unconsciousness turn into pain of deep unconsciousness, a state of more acute and more obvious suffering or unhappiness. When things close down, when the ego is unthreatened, a threatened or there is a major challenge, threat, or loss, real or imagined in your life situation or the conflict in your relationship. It is an in, intensified version of ordinary unconscious in a different form, it not in a kind but in degree. In ordinary unconsciousness, habitual resistance or denial of what is creates the designs content that most people accept as a normal living. When this resistance becomes intensified through some challenge or threat to ego, it brings up intense negativity such as anger, active fear, aggression, depression, and so on. Deep unconsciousness often means that the pain body has been triggered and that you have become identified with it. Physical violence would be impossible without a deep unconsciousness. It can also occur easily whenever and wherever a crowd of people or even an entire nation generate a negative collective energy field. The best indicator of your level of consciousness is how you deal with life challenges when you can begin to reduce challenges and already unconscious person tend to become more deeply unconscious and conscious. Next person more intensely conscious. You can use the challenge to awaken you or you can allow it to pull you into the even deeper sleep, the dream of ordinary unconsciousness then turn into a nightmare. If you cannot represent even in the normal circumstances such as when you are sitting alone in a room, walking in the woods or listening to someone, then you certainly won't be able to stay conscious when something goes wrong or you are faced with difficult people or situations with a loss or the threat of loss. You will be taken over by a reaction which ultimately is always some form of fears and pulled into deep unconsciousness. Those challenges are your test. Only the way in which you deal with them will show you and others where you are as far as your state of consciousness is concerned, not how long you can sit with your eyes closed or what visions you see. So it is essential to bring more consciousness into life in ordinary situation when everything is going relatively smoothly. And this way you grow in the presence power is right. Hence an energy field in you and around you of the high vibration frequency, no unconsciousness, no negativity, no discard of the violence can enter the field and survive just as the darkness cannot survive in the presence of light. When you learn to be the witness of your thoughts and emotions, which is an essential part of being present, you may be surprised when you first become aware of account statics of the ordinary unconsciousness and realize how really if even you are truly at ease within yourself on the level of your thinking, you will find a great deal of resistance in the form of judgment, discontent, and mental projection away from the now. On the emotional level, there will be an undercurrent of unease, tension, boredom, or nervousness, both are aspects of mind and habitual resistance on. What are they seeking? What are they seeking? Carl Jung tells in one of his books of the conversation he had with a Native American chief who pointed out to him that in his perception most white people have a tense faces, staring eyes, and the cruel demeanor. He said they are all seeking something. What do they are they seeking? The whites always want something. They are always honest and reckless. We don't know what they want. He thinks they are mad. The undercurrent of the constant unease started long before the rise of Western industrial civilization, of course, but in the Western civilizations, which now covers almost the entire globe, including most of the in-state manifests in an unprecedentedly acute form. It was already there at the time of Jesus, and it was there 600 years before at the time of Buddha and long before that. Why are you always anxious? This is asks this is a discipline. Can anxious the thought add a single day to your life and build the thought that the root of suffering is to be found in a constant wanting and craving. Resistance to the now as a collective it functions is intrinsically connected to the loss of awareness of the being and forms the basic of our dehumanized industrial civilization period, by the way, also recognized the existence of the undercurrent of unease and wrote about it in his book Civilization and its discontent, but he did not recognize is the true root of the unease and failed to recognize that freedom from it is possible. The collective life functions has created a very unhappy and extraordinary violent civilization that has become the threat not only to itself but also to the all life on the planet. Dissolving ordinary unconsciousness. So, how can we be free of this affection? Make it conscious. Observe the many ways in which the unease, discontent, and tensions arise within you through unnecessary thoughts when resistance to what is and the denial of the now. Anything unconscious resolved when you shine the light of conscious on it. Once you know how to dissolve ordinary unconscious, the light of your presence will shine brightly and it will be more sincere to live. And with the deeper unconscious, wherever you feel its the gravitational force. However, ordinary unconscious may not be easy to detect initially because of its normal, making the habit the monitor your mental emotional state through self-observations. Am I at the ease of this moment? Is the good question to ask yourself frequently, or you ask what's going on inside me at this moment. Be at least as interested in what goes on inside you as what happens outside. If you get inside right, the outside will fall into place. Primarily, reality needs within secondary reality without, but don't answer this question immediately. Direct your attention to more. Have a look inside yourself. What kind of thought is in your mind producing? What do you feel? Direct your attention into the body. Is there any tensions once you detect that there is a low level of unease in the background static? See in what the way you are avoiding resistance or and denying life by denying the now. There are many ways in which the people unconsciously resist the present moment. I will give you a few examples of that is the power of self-observation of monitoring your inner state will become sovereign. Freedom for unhappiness. Do you resent doing what you are doing? It may be your job, or you may agree to do something and are doing it, but part of you resent and resist it. Are you carrying unspoken resentment toward a person close to you? Do you realize that energy your thoughts emanate is so harmful in effect that you are in fact contaminating yourself as well as those around you? Have a good look inside. Is there even the slightest trace of resentment or unwillingness? If there is, observe it in the both mental and emotional levels. What thought is your mind creating around the situation? Then look at the emotions, which is the body's reaction to this thought. When the emotion does it feel present or unpresent? Is it angry that you would actually choose to have inside you? Do you have a choice? Maybe you are being taken advantage of. Maybe the activity you are engaged in is tedious. Maybe someone close to you dishonest, irritating, or unconscious. But all this is irrelevant. Whether your thought or emotions are about this situation are justified or not makes no difference. The fact is that you are resisting what is. You are making the present moment into an enemy. You are creating unhappiness, conflict between the inner and outer. Your happiness is probability in not only your inner being and those around you, but also, the quality of human psyche of which you are inseparable part. The pollutions of the planet is only outward reflections of an inner psychic pollutions. Millions of unconscious individuals now taking responsibility for their inner space. Either stop doing what you are doing, speak to the persons concerned, and express fully what you feel, or drop the negativity that your mind has created around the situations and solve no one problems whatsoever. Except a sense of loss self of self. Recognizing its futility is important. Negativity is never the optimum way of dealing with any situation. In fact, in most cases, it keeps you stuck in it, blocking real change. Anything that is done with a negative energy will become contaminated by it, and in time gives rise to more pain, more unhappiness. Furthermore, any negative inner state is contagious. Unhappiness is spread more easily than a physical disease through the law of resonance. It triggers and spreads latent negativity in others unless they immune you. That is highly conscious. Are you polluting the water, cleaning out the mess? You are responsible for your inner space. Nobody else is just as you are responsible for the planet as within. So within, if the human clear inner pollution, then they will also cease to create outer pollution. How can you drop negativity as you suggest? By dropping it, how do you drop a piece of hot coal that you are holding in your hand? How do you drop some heavy and useless baggage that you are carrying? By recognizing that you don't want to suffer the pain or carry the burden anymore and then letting go of it. Deep unconscious such as pain body or other deep pain thoughts as a loss of love, one usually need to be transmuted through the acceptance combined with the light of your presence to sustain attention. Many patterns in the ordinary unconsciousness, on the other hand, can simply be dropped once you know that you don't want them and don't need them anymore. Once you realize that you have a choice, that you are not just a burden of conditioned reflex. All this implies that you are able to access the power of now. Without it, you have no choice. If you call some emotions negative, aren't you creating a mental polarity of good and bad, as you explained earlier? No, the polarity was created at an earlier stage when your mind chose the present moment as a bad. This judgment then created the negative emotion. But if you call some emotion negative, aren't you really saying that they should not be there? That it's not okay. It's not okay to have these emotions. My understanding is that you should give me ourselves permission to have whatever feelings come up, rather than judge them as a bad or say that we should not have them. It's okay to feel resentment. It's okay to be angry, irritated, moody, or whatever. Otherwise, we get into reception, inner conflict, or denial. Everything is okay as it is. Of course, once the mind patterns and emotions or reaction is there accepted, You were not conscious enough to have a choice in the matter. That's not a judgment, just a fact. If you had a choice or realized that you do have a choice, would you choose suffering or joy is or honest peace or conflict? Would you choose the thought of feeling that a cause of cut you off from your natural state of well-being, the joy of life within? Any such feelings act all negative, which simply means bad. Not in the sense that you shouldn't have done that, but just plain and factual bad, like feeling sick in the stomach. How it is possible that humans kill in the excess of 100 million fellow humans in the 20th century alone? Humans inflicting pain of such magnitude on one another is beyond anything you can imagine, and that's not taking into account in the mental, emotions, and physical violence, the torture, pain, and cruelty they continue to inflict on each other as well as other sentient beings on the daily basis. Do they act in this way because they are in touch with their natural state, the joy of life within? Of course, not only people who are in the deeply negative state who feel very bad indeed would create a such reality as reflections of how they feel. Now they are engaged in the destroying natures and the planet that sustains them. Unbelievable but true. Humans are dangerously insane and very sick species. That's not a judgment, it's a fact. It's also a fact that the sanity is there underneath the madness. Healing and redemption are available right now. Coming back specifically to what you said, it is certainly true that when you accept your resentment, moodiness, anger, and so on, you are no longer forced to act them ironly and you are less likely to project them in onto others. But I wondered if you are not deceiving yourself. When you have been practicing acceptance for a while, as you have, there comes a point when you need to go on the next stage where those negative emotions are not created anymore. If you don't, your acceptance just becomes a mental level that allows your ego to continue indulge in the unhappiness, and so its strength and its sense of separation from other people surrounding you here and now. As you know, separation is the basics for the ego sense of identity. True acceptance would transmute those feelings at once, and if you really knew deeply that everything is okay as you put it, and which is of course is it you, then would you have those negative feelings in that first place? Without judgment, without resistance to what is it, they would not arise. You have an idea in what you mind that everything is okay, but deep down you do not really believe it, and so the whole mental emotional patterns of resistance are still in place. That's what makes you feel bad. That's okay too. Are you defending your right to be unconscious or your right to suffer? Don't worry, nobody is going to take that away from you. Once you realize that a certain kind of food makes you sick, will you carry on eating that food or keep asserting that it is okay to be sick? Wherever you are, be there totally. Can you give more example of ordinary unconsciousness? See, if you catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about situations you find yourself, what other people do or say, your surrounding your life situations, even the weather, to complain is always non-acceptance of what is. It invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are not in power. You are in your power. So change the situation by taking action or speaking out if necessary or possible. Leave the situation or accept it. All else is madness. Ordinary unconsciousness is always linked in the same way with the denial of it. The now, of course, also implies the here. Are you resisting to your here and now? Some people would always rather be somewhere else. Their here is never good enough. Through self-observations, find out if that is the case in your life. Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find you here and now, in tolerable and makes you unhappy, you have three options: remove yourself from situation, change it, or accept it totally. If you want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of these three options, and you must choose now. Then accept the consequences. No excuse, no negativity, no psychological. Keep your inner space clear. If you take actions, living or changing a situation, drop the negativity first, if at all possible. Actions arising out of insight into what is required is more effective than the action arising out of negativity. Any actions is often better than a no actions, especially if you have been stuck in the unhappy situation for a long time. If it is a mistake, at least you learn something, in which case it's no longer a mistake. If you remain stuck, you learn nothing. Is a fear preventing you from taking action? Acknowledge the fears, watch it, take your attention into it, be fully present with it. In doing so, cross the links between the fears and your thinking. Don't let the fear rise up into your mind. Use the power of now. Fear cannot prevail against it. If there is a student, nothing that you can do to change you who are here and now, and you cannot remove yourself from the situation, then accept you here and now totally by dropping all inner resistance, the false unhappy self that loves feelings miserable, resentful, or sorry for itself can then no longer survive. This is called surrender. Surrender is not weakness. This is a great strength in it. Only surrender to persons has spiritual power. Through the surrender, you will be freely internally of the situations. You may then find the situation changes without any effort on your part in case you are free. Or is there something that you should be doing but you are not doing it? Get up and do it now. Alternatively, completely accept your inactivity, laziness, or passivity at this moment. If that is your choice, go into fully enjoy it. Be lazy or inactive as you can. If you go into fully and consciously, you will soon come out of it, or maybe you won't. Either the way, there is no inner conflict, no resistance, no negativity. Are you stressed? Are you so busy getting to a future that the present is just the means of getting there? Stress is caused by being here but wanting to be there, or being in present but wanting to be in the future. Each split that tears you apart inside. To create and live with such an inner split is insane. The fact that everyone else is doing it doesn't make it any less insane. If you have to, you can move fast, work fast, or even run without forcing yourself into the future and without resisting the present. As you move, work, run, do it totally. Enjoy the flow of energy and the high energy of that moment. Now you are no longer stressed, no longer splitting yourself into two. Just moving, running, working, and enjoying it. Or you can drop the whole things and sit on the park bench. But when you do, watch your mind. It's may say you should be working, you are wasting time. Observe the mind, smile at it. Does the past take up a great deal of your attention? Do you frequently talk and think about it, either positively or negatively? The great things that you have achieved, your adventure experience, or your victim story, and dreadful things that were done to you, or maybe what you did to someone else. Are your thought process creating guilt, pride, resentment, anger, regret, or self-pity? And you are not only reinforcing a false sense of self, but also helping to accelerate your body aging process by creating accumulation of past in your psyche. Verify this for you by observing those around and you who have the strong tendency to hold on to the past. Die to the past every moment. You don't need it. Only refer to it when it's absolutely live into present. Feel the power of this moment and the fullness of being. Feel your presence. Are you worried? Do you have many what if thoughts? You are identified with your mind, which is projecting itself into the imaginary future situation and creating fear. There is no way that you can cope with such situation because it doesn't exist. It's a mental phantom. You can stop this health and life coding insanity simply by acknowledging the present moment. Become aware of your breathing. Feel the air flowing in and out of your body. Feel your inner energy field. All that you ever have to deal with. Cope with it in the real life as opposed to imaginary mind projections. Is this moment. Ask yourself what problem you have right now, not next year, tomorrow, or 5 minutes from now. What is wrong with this moment? You can always cope with now, but you can never cope with the futures. Now, do you have to? The answer, the sense, the right actions of the resource will be theirs when you need it, not before, not after. One day I'll make it. Is your goal taking up so much of your attention that you reduce the present moment to a means or to an end? Is it taking the joy out of your doing? Are you waiting to start living? If you develop such mind pattern, no matter what you achieve or get, the present will never be good enough. The future is always seem better. A perfect recipe for permanent dissatisfaction and the non-fulfillment. Don't you agree? Are you a habitual waiter? How much of your life do you spend waiting? What I call small scaling waiting is waiting in the line at the post office, in the traffic jam at the airport, or waiting for someone to arrive to finish work and so on. Large scale waiting is a waiting for the next vacation, for the better job, for the children to grow up, for the truly meaningful relationship, for success to make a money, to be important, to be enlightened. It is not uncommon for the people to spend their whole life waiting to start living. Waiting is a state of mind. Basically, it means that you want the future, you don't want the present. You don't want what you have got, and you want what you haven't got. With every kind of waiting, you unconsciously create inner conflict between you here and now, where you don't want to be, and the project future where you want to be. This is greatly reduce the quality of your life by making you lose the present. There is nothing wrong with striving to improve your life situations. You can improve your life situations, but you cannot improve your life. Life is primary. Life is your deepest inner being. It is already whole, complete, perfect. Your life situation consists of your circumstances and your experience. There is nothing wrong with setting goal and striving to achieve things. The mistake lies in using it as a substitute for feelings of life for being. The only point of access for that is now. You are then like an like an architect who pays no attention to the foundation of the buildings but spend a lot of time working on the support structure. For example, many people are waiting for prosperity. It cannot come in futures when you honor, acknowledge and fully accept your present reality, where you are, who you are, and what you are doing right now. When you fully accept what you have got, you are grateful for what you have got, grateful for what is it, grateful for being gratitude for the present moment and fulfillment of life. If now is a true prosperity, it cannot come in a futures and in a time that prosperity manifests is for you in the various ways. If you dissatisfied you with what you have got, or even frustrated or angry about your present lack, that may motivate you to become rich. But even if you do make millions, you will continue to experience the inner condition of lack, and deep down, you will continue to feel unfulfilled. You may have an exciting experience that money can buy, but they will come and go, and always leave you with an empty feelings and the need for the physical or psychological gratifications. You won't avoid in being also feel the fulfillment of your life. Now that alone is true prosperity, so give up waiting as a state of mind when you catch yourself slipping into waiting, snap out of it. Come into present moment, just be and enjoy being. If you are present, there is never ever any need for you to wait for anything. So next time somebody says sorry to have kept you waiting, you can reply, "That's alright, I wasn't waiting. I was just standing here enjoying myself and enjoying myself." These are the such few of habitual and mind strategies for denying the present moment that are a part of ordinary unconsciousness. They are easy to overdo because they are so much of a part of normal living, the background static of perpetual discontent. But the more you practice monitoring your inner mental emotions state, the easier it will be to know when you have been trapped into past or futures, which is to say unconscious, and to awaken out of the dream aim of time into the present. But be aware the false unhappy self based on the mind identification sleeps on the time it knows that the present moment is its own death and so feels very threatened by it. It will do all it can to take you out of it. It will try to keep you trapped in time. The inner purpose of your life journey. I can see the truth of what you are saying, but I still think that we must have purpose on our life journey, otherwise we just drift and purpose meaning futures doesn't it? How do we reconcile that with the living in the present? When you are on a journey, it is certainly helpful to know where you are going or at least the general directions in which you are moving. But don't forget the only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step that you are taking at this moment. That's all there is. Ever is. Your life journey has an outer purpose and inner purpose. The outer purpose is to arrive at your goal or destination to accomplish what you set out to do to achieve this or that, which of course implies future. But if your destination, so the step you are going to take in the future, takes up so much of your attention that they becomes more important to you than the steps you are taking now, then you completely miss the journey's inner purpose, which has nothing to do with where you are going or what you are doing, but everything to do with how. It has nothing to do with the future, but everything to do with the quality of your consciousness at this moment. The outer purpose belongs to the horizontal dimension of space and time. The inner purpose concerns a deepening of your being and the vertical dimension of the timeless. Now, your outer journey may contain the million step. Your inner journey only has one step, the step you are taking right now. As you become more deeply aware of one step, you realize that it already contains within itself all the other steps as well as the destination. The small step then becomes a transformed into an expression of perfection, an act of great beauty and quality. It will have taken into the being, and the light of being will shine through it. This is the both purpose and fulfillment of your inner journey and the journey only into yourself. Does it matter? whether we achieve our outer purpose, whether we succeed or fail in the world. It will matter to you as long as you haven't realized your inner purpose. After that, the outer purpose is just a game that you may continue to play simply because you enjoy it. It is also possible to fail completely in your outer purpose and at the same time totally succeed in your inner purpose. On the other way around, this is actually more common. Outer reaches and inner poverty, or to gain the world and to lose its soul. As this is put it, ultimately, of course, every outer purpose is doomed to fail sooner or later simply because it's subject to law of in- impermanence of all things. The sooner you realize that your outer purpose cannot give you the lasting fulfillment, the better. When you have seen the limitations of your outer purpose, gives up your unrealistic expectation that it should make you happy and you make it subservient to your inner purpose. The past cannot survive in your presence. The past cannot survive in your presence. You listen that thinking or talking about past unnecessary is one of the ways in which you avoid present. But apart from the past that we remember and perhaps identify with, isn't that another level of past within us that is much more incident? I'm talking about the unconscious past that conditions our lives, especially through our late childhood experience, perhaps even last past life experience. And then there is our cultural conditioning which has to do with where we live, geographically and historical time period in which we live. All these things determine how we see world, how we react, what we think, what kind of relationship we have, how we live our lives. How could we ever become conscious of all that or get rid of it? How long um, will that take? And even if we did, what would there be left? What is left when illusion ends? There is no need to investigate the unconscious past. Past in you accept as it manifests at this moment as thought, as an emotion, desire, or reactions, or an external event that happens to you. Whatever you need to know about the unconscious past in you, the challenges of the present will bring it out. If you dwell in the past, it will become bottom, bottomless. Bottomless pit. There is always more. You think there you need more time to understand the past to become free of it. In other words, the future will eventually free you of the past. There is delusions. Only the present can free you of the past. More time you cannot free of more time cannot free you of time. Access the power of now. That is the key. What is the power of now? None other than the power of your presence, your consciousness. Consciousness from thought from. So with the past and the level of present, the more attention you give to the past, the more you energize it, and the more like you are to make a self out of it. Don't misunderstand attention's essentials, but not to the past as a past. Give attention to the present. Give attention to your behavior, to your reactions, more thought, emotions, fears, and desire as they occur in the present. There is the past. Past. If you can be present enough towards all these things are not analytically but non-judgmentally, then you are dealing with the past and dissolving into the power of your presence. You cannot find yourself by going into the past. You find yourself by coming into the present. Isn't it helpful to understand the past and so understand why we certain things react in a certain way, or why we unconsciously create a particular kind of drama patterns in relationship and so on? As you become more conscious of your present reality, you may suddenly get certain insight as to why your conditioning functions in those particular way. For example, why your relationship follow certain patterns, and you may remember things that happened in the past and see them more clearly. That is fine and can be helpful, but it is not essential. What is essential is a conscious presence that dissolves the past. This is a transformative agent, so don't seek to understand the past, but be present as you can. The past cannot survive in your presence; it can only survive in your absence. Okay, it's a completion of chapter 4. In the next video, I'll bring the chapter 5, the state of presence. Thank you so much for watching this video.